Hey friends, late evening worm here, apologizing for not getting this out a little bit sooner, but today I just wanted to briefly touch on the changes that Bungie has made to supers, and particularly whether or not they are going to qualify our roaming supers for, high level in-game content, stuff like that. So I'm not going to go over the full set of patch notes here. But the main thing that I want to be focusing on is actually this right here. They've increased PvE damage resistance by 20%. They've done a lot of stuff to help buff those, those roaming supers in PvE, because obviously PvE, they weren't really great options for in-game content. Like you still, you'd activate whatever super, run out there, and potentially still die. But they made some changes to, I guess, potentially help mitigate that, but I'm not really sure if they did enough. Okay, now aside from obviously all the damage boosts and stuff that we got here, all those are great. So, the damage boost to what I see right now, for example, spectral blades 35%, that's good. Okay, that's very, very good, and I'm happy that they did that. But the main concern that I have with roaming supers in something like a Grandmaster Nightfall is not the amount of damage that they do or the amount of damage resistance that they get, but it's a combination of, how viable they actually are to use to go out of cover, use them, and then run back. Because one of the big things that we've talked about before on the channel is if I want to use, say, spectral blades, for example, I have to activate it safely behind cover, because if you run out there, just run up there, with the exception of maybe if you're invisible, run out there and just activate it, you're likely to get killed or at least severely injured before you even get a chance to activate it. So you have to activate it behind cover, run out to where the enemies are, kill some enemies, and in order to, I guess, properly utilize the, the super, so that you don't die with it, you need to run back to cover before the super runs out of, of juice, so to speak. And this is something that it plagues almost every single super, maybe with the exception of some exotics that return super energy. But again, I haven't done a whole lot of testing, but that's something I noticed when we were doing Grandmasters, is it's difficult to activate a super, run out there, get a bunch of kills with it, which is exactly what a roaming super is supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to get several kills with it and then run back to safety before the super ends. So spectral blades might not be a great example because you can use invis with that one, but something like maybe arc staff, for example. Arc staff, you can activate it. You can run out there. With this new update coming to season 21, you get more damage resistance, which is good. That's fantastic. I'm not complaining about that at all. You will deal more damage, 20% more damage, which is, again, that's fantastic. But the problem is still the timing. You have to, again, pop it behind cover, run out from behind cover, get your kills, and run back to your cover before the timer runs out. So again, like it's one of those things, like, okay, like, yes, they've increased damage. That's good. I'm not complaining about it at all. This is not a complaint video. This is a video talking about how Bungie may have missed the mark. It may have missed the primary issue that, players have, which is, like I said, running out of super while in the heat of combat, because there's no supers in the game that last long enough to clear out like a full room. Like I'm thinking, off the top of my head, what is it? The proving grounds, for example. Like one of the places you'd want to use your super is in that first room where the 2 tanks are, right? That screams, hey, roaming super be great here. But again, like everything in that room destroys you, and there's so much going on, it's all going to attack you at once. And yeah, you have, 20% damage resistance, which is great. So you're not going to die while in super as easily, but you run out, you get 1 or 2 kills, realize that you're going to run out of juice before you get back. So you got to turn and hightail it back. You don't get to use your super to the full extent. And that's kind of the issue that I see, with roaming supers, not the damage that they do, not the, what else? The damage resistance they have. Like it's the fact that you have to come out of cover, use it, and get back to cover before it runs out of juice. Now, I do have a couple of just ideas, that I played with in my mind about, hey, what could we do to potentially mitigate, this problem, I guess. The first one would, of course, be increase the duration of all roaming supers, just flat out. Give it in PvE, maybe not PvP, because PvP is a little bit different. But in a PvE environment, you know, Grandmaster Nightfalls, instead of having a 30-second super, you know, that takes off some of the time for every attack you do, have that super be something where, you know, it's longer. Okay, 45 seconds. That way, you know, you've got 15 extra seconds to run out of cover and then run back into cover. 7.5 if you want to do it both ways equally, blah, blah, blah. But it gives the player extra time to move out of cover, gets, you know, a full rewarding, you know, attack, I guess, on the enemy out of their super, and then get back to cover without dying. That would be, you know, that's the first thing. The second thing that's, you know, Bungie could potentially do is just make it so that, you know, any attack you do does not consume super energy. And I know that this one I've kind of debated in my head, because like this one could potentially be really, really strong. You know, for example, like Fist of Havoc, like nobody would use the light attack. You know, everybody do only heavy attacks over and over and over, because heavy attack deals more damage. It will, of course, next season blind enemies. And if it wouldn't consume super energy, you know, it would be problematic. But I do think that could be a potential option, a potential route that Bungie could go with. You know, that way you go down, activate it, you run out. You don't have to worry about losing super energy. You know, you run out. You know, it takes 5 seconds to get to the enemy. That's 5 seconds of your super gone. That's 10 seconds to make it back. Okay, that's not even including if you have to go further. So it's 10 seconds out of your 30-second super that's already gone. So you only get 20 seconds of attack time. But then if you go in and use an attack and it's consuming super energy, you're just losing more and more super energy. And by the time it's over, you might be able to get like 3 kills and then have to retreat. You know, and that's 3 kills against like just red bar enemies, like higher health targets, like orange bars, stuff like that. You know, maybe the damage increase will help against those. I don't think that the damage increase is going to make them champions destroyers by any means. Like, I think that it's pretty, it's not going to make them champion destroyers. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. But, you know, I think that that's definitely another option that we could go with. And hey, maybe Bungie could go nuts one season and give us the option to do both. You know, give us the option to have a longer super and a super that does not consume energy whenever, you know, players, you know, are using the attacks and stuff like that. And I don't know, like, you know, I'm trying to picture this in my head. In a PvE environment, I don't see it being that big of a deal, with the exception of maybe some exotics or something along those lines that give you super energy back. You know, for example, like it's not in the game anymore, but the old trample on was it Arc Titan, you know, where when you get a kill, it'll give you some super energy back. You know, pre-nerf trample was a menace in PvE and PvP, because you could literally run through half of a strike in super, you know, which is problematic because that makes things like Grandmasters really trivial. You know, so I don't necessarily, I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, that is the fix. That would be the best thing to do. But I think that there's, you know, it would be a good start, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of, you know, that's really what I wanted to talk about here. If you haven't read the patch notes, I would definitely go read them. There's a lot of awesome stuff that they're doing. A lot of changes to supers, you know, some fragment stuff. They're changing. There's a lot of really, really good stuff in here. But I think that even though they did all those great changes, I still think they missed the mark on roaming supers. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we see an uptick in roaming super usage and viability, but I don't see it happening because of the fact that the timer is still, at the end of the day, short. You know, even though they did reduce like some of the supers attack activations, like I think it was Fist of Havoc got its attacks reduced in terms of cost, but you know, I still think that it's going to be a little bit problematic, because even in Grandmasters, even with the damage resistance, like as soon as you're done in super, your damage resistance is gone, and that's a problem. I guess the other thing that they could potentially add is give you some type of little timer when your super runs out where you still have high damage resistance, but your super's done, you know, and I don't know, call it blessing of light, blessing of darkness, something like that, where, okay, like my super just ran out. Since my super ran out, I have, you know, 7 seconds to retreat to a safe spot before I lose that damage resistance, you know, and potentially get shredded by ads. But I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts here. It's a great update overall. I'm really happy with all the changes they made. Looking through here, I don't really see anything that is, you know, a significant nerf. There was a couple of small nerfs in here, but most of it is all really, really good stuff. So go check it out. I don't do full videos on patch notes, stuff like that. I just kind of want to get my thoughts out there. on supers, roaming supers, and why I still think they're going to be difficult to use. But of course, I want to know you guys' thoughts. Like, do you agree with what I said here? Like, do you agree that, one of the biggest problems with roaming supers is the fact that, when your super runs out, you're screwed. So you have to activate it behind cover, run out, take the time to run out, take the time to run back before it runs out, before the super runs out, that is. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think they're perfect changes? Do you think they could have done more? What do you think of my ideas for changes? I want to know all that, of course, in the comments below. If you like the video, please drop a like. It helps the channel out. Of course, subscribe for more daily Destiny content. And hey, while you're at it, check out this video you see on screen over here, because YouTube, for whatever reason, thinks you might like it. That's it for me, guys. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye for now.